Saturday, 4 p.m. game. Rams visiting Seahawks. Rams +4. Total is 42 and a half. Shaping up to be a pros Joe's game. Shaping up to be pros on the Rams and the Joes on the Seahawks.
And this is a sharp game where sharp, you just play the Rams side because it's two teams that have played each other now twice. McVay has always played the Seahawks really well. Usually he beats them. This year, it's been a little different where the Seahawks have actually beat them, but I'm all in on the Seahawks. I mean, we could get into it, but that's my team, sleeper team, the NFC East, I think is going to come out and play in the Super Bowl. I love teams that everyone's off because they haven't been beating teams by enough points to them and they haven't been covering enough numbers for them. And people are just off the Seahawks. Like literally the Buccaneers have jumped them now as a favorite in the NFC East. Like they're the fourth team now, even though they're the 3 seed. And I love that. I love teams that can know how to win ugly games close. And in the playoffs, I love these kind of teams with the Seahawks. Yeah, maybe they might not cover this number. They might only win by 3 because that's just what they do. They play teams ugly. But I love it. Everyone's doubting the Seahawks offense right now, and they don't really get how well this defense has played. So that's made them kind of change their identity as not a team that's just going to throw it downfield because they're just going to play slow and play smart and just wear you out and eventually beat you at the end of the game. So looking at this number, I feel bad telling people to go against my brethren in the Sharps, but I'm all in on the Seahawks, and I like it that it's down at some books down to 3.5 now because the Sharps have come in so heavy on the Rams that Akai making his second start of his career on the road in the playoffs. Unless this guy's a robot for the Rams, this guy's going to have a complete meltdown in this game. So for me, I love the Seahawks in the position. And the fact that the Sharps are betting this number down, it makes me feel a little better because that means I'll maybe get good value on the Seahawks. Hopefully it hits 3.
So we know for a fact that Goff is out.
We don't. We really don't. Maybe that's why it's betting bet down. Maybe they know something, and that's why the number's coming down now. But Goff just got thumb surgery, and I don't like it. I honestly, if I was betting the Rams, I'd feel better if this backup was coming because I don't think it's smart when players rush back like this. Like we saw with Kyler Murray last week, he was out in 2 series. He took 1 hit and he was just done. So don't like backing these hurt quarterbacks, but you never know. Like Stafford played a hell of a game last week, hurt, and they covered that game. So to each his own. But if it's Jared Goff, I would definitely be even more in favor of the Seahawks.
Chris Raybon will tell you if you listen to the Action Network NFL podcast, he always loves the Rams in this spot because these games are always less than a field goal. And Sean McVay is such a good coach. And look, the Rams have completely changed who they are offensively, where you've mentioned Goff, but the quarterback just means less in their game plan, in their system week to week. Like they have become a physical run first offense and a very aggressive defense. But I kind of love your take on the Seahawks. So I can totally be convinced on the Seahawks. In fact, all of a sudden I feel better about the Seahawks than I do the Bills. And and I'm kind of wondering, why didn't you take any of our hard-earned winnings and put it on the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl?
I will. I'm waiting for this number to keep getting bet up. Like I have them we have them with what is it, the Chiefs as a Super Bowl finalist.
Mm-hmm.
And I should have just waited because we would have got better odds if I did. Because I did it last week, like when I did it for I did the Bills one first and everything like that. But I only did 100 on it. Like I didn't want to put too much into these futures yet because I wanted more bankroll for week 17. So yeah, I can revisit it. Right now it's at plus 600 on DraftKings. If it could get to 700, 800, I'm gonna pounce on it because right now the roadmap for them is they beat this Rams team, hopefully with a backup quarterback, and then they go play the Saints. And what have we seen for about 4 straight years now with the Saints at home in the playoffs? They screw it up. They lose to these teams they shouldn't beat. They literally lost to Kirk Cousins last year at home after they should have. I mean, I don't think they've ever recovered from that Stephon Diggs catch. Like they literally went from that catch the next year to the Rams and the PI to losing to Kirk again at home. So if I can have a position where people are still believing in the Saints because they have a great defense and they have Drew Brees and a good O-line and Kamara, that's where I'm getting value because that's where everyone's going right now. Everyone's thinking maybe Green Bay will lose this and the Saints can do it. But for me, it's just the Seahawks lines up perfectly. They can go beat the Saints. They'll go play Green Bay, which I think is a really even matchup with both those quarterbacks. They're both just so good in clutch performances that I love the value we're getting the Seahawks. So I'm on this week. I can't doubt Chase Raybon. Like, tell you it's gonna be a close game. I'm right there with him because that's how the Seahawks play it. But I have so much faith in this team that I just can't lay points. I can't take the points with the Rams when I'm just so all in on the Seahawks right now.
What do you have this game rated at? You said 3.5.
No, I had it at 4, and the
Okay,
fact that it's down to because when it opened
that's
up at
right.
4.5, I said, "Wow, that's a good number right now for the Rams." The 4.5 for them, and the fact the sharps have just bet it down now, and it is 3.5 on DraftKings. It's just saying to me, it's flipped now, where I think you're getting good value on the Seahawks.
So, dude, here's my question. What are we waiting for? Let's get the best of the number. It's 3.5. Are we going to wait till 3? Do you think it's going to get to 3, or do we take it at 3.5? Like, we don't even have to wait on contest lines.
So, Chad, don't get mad at me. I've already made a bunch of bets for us.
I don't want to know. Like, here's the thing. Listen, you're my money manager right now.
Yeah.
You do what you got to do. You don't need me to make the decisions. We're going to go through the podcast. We're going to talk about the games. We're going to come up with the 5. Anything else you're doing, you got to do because you're in control of the money and you're the professional and I'm just the client here. Okay. I want as
Yeah.
much money at the end of it as possible.
I just wanted to play the early line values just in case the lines went different ways than it did. And like, well, we can break it down into the podcast, but basically, I love doing money line parlays because the spread just scares me in the playoffs because a lot of weird stuff can happen, especially with these favorites. So, like early lines that we got great value on, we have Pittsburgh's money line at like 180, and now it's up to 279 because all the COVID news.
Yeah.
And we got the Saints. I think the Saints opened at like, man, it might have been -7 or -8. So the money line was like -300. Now it's up to like 500 at certain books. So it worked out for me playing these early lines for us. And we'll go through all the games. But yeah, for this Seahawks Rams game, I'm on the under again. But after last week with the Seahawks 49ers game, I would not put this as our best 5 because that under is going to haunt me forever. Because you never know with the Seahawks when they want to turn it on, they can turn it on. So for me, I'm playing this under, but I wouldn't put it as our best 5.
Got it. The under is at 43 right now at DraftKings.